Hello everyone and welcome to the next installment of Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show we're essentially going to be breaking down the day's big movie news, such as casting decisions, trailer releases, and things like that. Speaking of which, today we're actually going to be discussing the brand new trailer that's been released for Guardians of the Galaxy. Very exciting film. It's one of Marvel's new films that's coming out. It's their last film before the next Avengers film. So before I get into anything about that, I'm actually going to showcase the trailer so that everybody kind of gets an idea of what we're going to be talking about here. So without further ado, here you go. Enjoy. All right. So my opinion, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. This has blown my expectations out of the water. Didn't really know what to expect when it came to this film. It's being directed by James Gunn, who in the past has directed, he did Slither almost 10 years ago. It starred Nathan Fillion, and I believe Elizabeth Banks was in that movie as well. Really, really cool little horror flick there. It's kind of a horror comedy. Then he also did a movie a couple of years ago called Super with Rainn Wilson from The Office, which he was it was an R-rated superhero film, not really based on anything that people knew. Didn't really do too well, but I quite enjoyed it. It was kind of one of those movies where you either love it or you hate it. I enjoyed it quite well. I thought it was pretty entertaining, so wasn't quite sure what to feel about Guardians of the Galaxy, the tone, obviously the scale of the movie. I think they nailed it. I think they absolutely nailed it. It looks incredible. It's got the humor, which we knew right from the get-go that this was going to be a more humorous film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're really taking a risk. This is the first big risk that Marvel has taken. Every character that they've had up until this point has been somewhat known. You have Iron Man, you have Captain America, you have Thor, you have the Hulk. All the standalone characters have had or have been known in the past. Guardians of the Galaxy, even diehard comic book fans, a lot of them didn't know who Guardians of the Galaxy was when they announced it. So this is their first big risk. They have a few more coming out. That one we know of 100% has been announced. Cast has already been in place. But I'll go more into that on Friday's episode when we talk about the Avengers movie and the full scale of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, other things that we know about the film: Chris Pratt, as you saw in the trailer, is playing Star-Lord Peter Quill. The story behind Peter Quill was he's a half-human, half-alien man who I believe at the age of 9 was taken from Earth in the early 80s or mid 80s. And that's one of the reasons why, as you saw in the trailer, he's got a Walkman, not even a Discman, he's got a Walkman. Which I thought was a really nice touch because the character had that in the comics. His humor level, the scene, the Jack in the Box middle finger, I thought that was genius. That was a hilarious sequence. I don't know how this machine works. I thought that was just great. Then we have Zoe Saldana playing Gamora, which, I mean, yeah, that fits. I was kind of hoping for somebody different, only because she already kind of plays that role in every movie. She was Neytiri in Avatar. She did the movie called The Losers, where she played an assassin. She did a movie called Colombiana. Wasn't very good. Wasn't very good. But again, she played an assassin. So now she's playing an alien assassin. Even in an interview that she did after she got cast, she said, "Hey, I did blue. Might as well do green." So we didn't get to hear anything from her in the trailer. Obviously she looks badass, but I mean, judging by what we've seen so far, I don't think they're in the wrong by casting her. I think that there obviously was something to that character that meant something for her, and I think she's going to bring something, but we won't know until we see the second trailer, which probably won't come out until June. I'm going to say sometime in the summer. It might even, oh no, it wouldn't be in front of Captain America. It'll probably be sometime in June that we see the next trailer. Then we have Dave Bautista playing Drax the Destroyer. Now, he definitely looks the part. I was nervous when they said that he was cast because outside of The Rock, there has not been really that great of a roster of wrestlers turned actors. So I didn't really know what to expect with him, but I mean he looks like he's nailed down the character pretty well. The guy just he just looks angry. He fights a lot of people, but he mainly has a background with Thanos, who in the Avengers and the after credit sequence he was the big purple guy who kind of turned his head and smiled. They've set him up to be the big bad of this Marvel Cinematic Universe. That they're only going to hint at him, and most likely he's going to be the main villain in Avengers 3. But he is most likely going to be incorporated in this film. But outside of that, there's not going to be any ties to any of the other Marvel movies. This is going to be a separate film. It will exist within the same universe, but they said there's one surprise, but outside of that, it is pretty much a standalone film. I'm assuming later on down the line, or this movie will become incorporated, most likely with Thor. They're both cosmic stories, so that lends itself easily to kind of work in. Um, they may even, if the rumors of Doctor Strange coming out in Phase 3 are accurate, they could even play into the Doctor Strange movie. So that may be kind of cool. But now we get into the two most interesting characters of the Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one is Rocket Raccoon, who in this movie is being voiced by Bradley Cooper. I want to hear his voice so bad. There was a rumor going around before Bradley Cooper was cast that Christian Slater was in line to get the role. I don't know if there was any validity to that, but when I heard that, I thought that would have been perfect. He's got a great voice for something like Rocket Raccoon. He's a smart ass. He's like Peter Quill. He's a little bit of a smart ass. He's an explosives expert, and he always wields big guns. As you saw in the trailer, he just opening fire with a massive machine gun, or at least massive to his size. James Gunn has come out and said that he's going to steal the show. He is going to be the character that people walk away from and say, that was awesome. I loved Rocket Raccoon. So I'm really intrigued to see. I wish we could have heard something from him. And the last one is Groot, the human-like tree, who is being voiced by Vin Diesel. And Vin Diesel also is doing the motion capture, or has done the motion capture for that role. Now, the interesting thing about that, there's two things. One, Groot only has one line in the movie. Now, he repeats it several times, but Groot, the character, only says, I am Groot. That's it. Now, because of it's something to do with his larynx or just his species or something like that, but whenever he says it, depending on how he says it, he says something completely different. He will say anything, and it'll just come out as saying, I am Groot. Apparently the other people are at least able to understand him somewhat. I believe Rocket Raccoon is probably going to be that character, because in the comics they're like best buds. Groot is basically Rocket Raccoon's car. Rocket just always hangs out on him. As you saw in the trailer, he was on his back when they were both opening fire, which I thought was great. That was probably the highlight. That and the single shot of Rocket just shooting away with his gun. Even with this being the biggest risk, this is going to be one wacky film. I really can't think of another word to describe it. It's just going to be quirky. It's going to be weird. It's going to be funny. They've taken away a lot of the stereotypes that you get from these action roles. I mean, look at the beginning of the trailer there. He goes in, you expect him to, once they confront him, you expect him to just take them all out very easily. And he asks them a question. He's like, I'm Star-Lord. Like, who? And he's kind of dumbfounded by this, and so he's going to play that guy. And then even when they're in the prison, and he's yelling at the guy to take his Walkman off, he just gets electrocuted. He gets shocked. So I think there's going to be a lot more humor and a lot more quirkiness to this film than people are expecting. It's completely different type of film than Marvel has done so far, and I'm really excited to see this film. Another thing about the Vin Diesel thing, one of the main reasons that he was cast was because of his voice work in The Iron Giant. The Iron Giant, which came out, I believe, in 98 or 99. Vin Diesel was actually the voice of the Iron Giant. It was one of his first major film roles. And he was able to bring so much emotion and character to this giant robot with very minimal dialogue. Like the last line that he says is, you stay, I go. And the inflection in his voice, everything about it, I have no doubt he's going to be able to maximize on the character of Groot and the fact that he only says "I am Groot," but in so many different ways. I really think that that's going to that's going to play out very well. Now, the three villains that we know of in the film, the main villain is Ronan the Accuser, who is being played by Lee Pace. Not too much really known about what his intentions are going to be. All we know is that there is an orb, which you saw at the beginning of the trailer, that everybody's after. I'm going to assume it's part of the Infinity Gauntlet, which they've hinted at in the other Marvel films. That's what that's what the Tesseract was part of the Infinity Gauntlet, the cube from the Avengers. The ether, the mysterious substance from Thor: The Dark World, was another part of the Infinity Gauntlet, and I think that this is going to be another part because in the comics, Thanos is actually the one who is trying to get the Infinity Gauntlet, which gives him power over space, time, everything. Um, so I'm assuming that that's what it is, and so Ronan is going to be going after that. Nebula, who is being played by Karen Gillan from Doctor Who. You saw her quickly in the trailer. She was the blue bald assassin. She's kind of a second in command to Lee Pace's character, Ronan the Accuser. And the final villain who we have, which we don't really know if he's going to be classified as a villain or if he's just going to not really have a side, is the Collector, who's being played by Benicio del Toro. Now, we got a hint of what his character entails at the end of Thor 2, with that after credits sequence where Sif and Volstagg go to the Collector's place and they give him the ether to hold on to because they have the Tesseract. And he ends the clip by saying, "One down, five to go." So you know they're searching for the Infinity Gauntlet because Thanos eventually is going to get the Infinity Gauntlet with all the gems, and that's, I think, what the Avengers are going to go up against in Avengers 3, and this is just going to be one of those stepping stones. So all that said, this is going to be one of the most ambitious films that Marvel has done to date. I'm really excited about it. I think this has loads of potential. Um, I really wanted to see a different trailer. This trailer blew me away, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the footage was from the Comic-Con trailer, which was shown last July. Now, albeit hardly any finished special effects were in that because they were only 2 weeks into filming. So they finished a lot of, well, almost finished a lot of the special effects with this trailer, and they added that beginning sequence with him in the orb. But outside of that, it was a lot of the same footage that we had already seen, just tightened up and touched up. So I would have liked to see a little bit more footage. I really would have liked to have seen either Groot or Rocket Raccoon actually speak or see their interactions. We're going to see that in the second trailer, no doubt about that, which we're going to get in a couple of months. But right now, just to introduce the world to it, you're going to see Marvel's marketing campaign for this movie just kick into high gear now. You're going to see things popping up everywhere. Posters are probably going to come online within the next few weeks. Maybe TV spots will start up earlier because they're starting to do that now with movies. But we're not going to know too much more for another couple of months. So this was really good to kind of whet the appetite and get people an idea of what they're in for. And the level of action in this movie alone, like you see the giant space battle, which I believe is part of one of the teams that's fighting in there is the Nova Corps. Which we know are in the film. Glenn Close is actually playing the head of the Nova Corps, and the Nova Corps essentially is the Green Lantern Corps for Marvel. They are this group of interstellar police officers, essentially, that go around and police the universe, and they each have their own quadrant, just like the Green Lantern Corps. And I believe that battle was taking place between the Nova Corps and someone else. We don't know what the other alien race was, but the level of action in the film just looks incredible. Again, we need to see more footage from it. So excited for this movie. Cannot wait for it. Hopefully we're going to get another trailer in the next couple of months. And then finally the movie will be released on August 1st. Now there is a rumor that they've already greenlit a sequel for Phase 3 for it to come out in 2016. I don't think that they've done that yet because this is such a risk for them that I don't think they would sacrifice one of their time slots, which they only give about 5 per phase. I don't think they would sacrifice one of their time slots to a film they don't even know is going to do well. I think it's a safe assumption based on this trailer that it'll do fairly well, but it's going to take a lot of people to get used to this kind of movie. It's a very quirky, very weird style of humor, and they even said that when they decided to go this route with Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean, this could just be publicity, but they only wanted James Gunn because they felt that he was the only one to be able to handle that kind of humor and not try to sacrifice it in order to make it a little bit more mainstream. So it's going to take a bit to get used to for a lot of people, for the majority of people out there, for the people like me who love comic book movies for the most part. This is another win in my book. So I'm really looking forward to it. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the Marvel Cinematic Universe on Friday's episode when we discuss the Avengers. So um, with that, this has been the third episode of Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Please click the subscribe button below. I will be putting up videos every Monday through Friday. Next week, I'm going to be starting the actual show, which is going to be me going over the day's movie news and dissecting it and kind of going over what it all means for the production in general. So come join me next week when we do that. But tomorrow we will be talking about X-Men Days of Future Past and Fox's planned cinematic universe with their Fantastic Four characters as well. And then Friday's episode we will be discussing the Avengers Age of Ultron and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So without further ado, this is Niklsun. You guys have yourselves a great night. Cheers.